Well, it's back to school time. Kids are going back to school. We are sort of shifting our mental focus into closing out the year strong. So, Summer, what are some things people can do to help employees ease back into the school year, whether that's from a childcare standpoint or just that mental shift that happens this time of year? I think there are two mental shifts that happen. There's the one when kids go back to school, and then there's the other at the top of the year. I think those are the big mental shifts that happen for workers at jobs. But what are your thoughts?
There's definitely a lot of mental shifts occurring. And just real quickly before I dive into what some of the things companies can do, I wanted to just also mention that the way this topic came about was actually partially from a conversation that I was having with one of our clients who said that they wanted to make sure that they did everything possible for the individuals, whether it's mothers or fathers who are actually coming off of maternity leave and easing their transition back into the workplace. And I thought, like, gosh, like that's an amazing idea. We can help execute that. And then that was just kind of a broader, this is just a broader expansion of it makes sense that, companies who really want to take care of their team members are finding ways to make it easier for them to handle these life transitions. And when it comes to returning back to school, I think there's a lot that companies can do that maybe they aren't currently doing that would definitely help make that a little less painful. So, first tip that I have is hopefully companies know who in their workforce have school age children. I think that's important. You need to understand your team members and what their needs are and what's going to help them. And reaching out to these individuals and finding out, proactively, hey, can we help schedule out and have coverage for you to take a vacation day or a different schedule for the first week or if longer of back to school. But the overarching message here is just truly like find what would help your team members. And to the extent that a company is able to, find a way to make it happen. And if you can be proactive as opposed to waiting for your team members to ask for this, then companies really get some serious bonus points for doing something that's in most cases pretty easy to do. And an alternative to this is also kind of a ramp from shifting to either part time or fewer hours at the beginning of the school year and then ramping them back up to full time. I think those are all very doable arrangements for most companies if they are intentional about having a process like this in place.
Someone may be listening to this conversation and saying, oh, well, we're bending over backwards or giving luxuries. But I think in this era of employment where we just started off the conversation with how tough it is to get candidates because there's such a competition for the great ones. We also have to think about what that means for creating accommodating workforces for the talent that we do have. And so I wouldn't look at this as like a luxury or going above and beyond. I'd say these are strategic things that we could be doing to ensure that we have the workforce that works well for us and keeping them excited and engaged and a part of our team versus entering someone else's interview process.
Right, right. And it is getting that competitive. So I would definitely encourage companies to consider how they can make this a reality. Because and I always use the example of if you are doing it and your competitors aren't, then you're going to have that advantage when you're trying to recruit for the same talent. And so it may come down to something just as simple as this that tips the scale. So I think there's a lot of reasons, and that no longer is the idea of a paycheck should be enough. Those days are long gone. So companies really need to be looking for these ways that they can increase the experience for their team members. The next idea that I wanted to share was kind of the concept of surprise and delight your team. And so, this can be either for in-person teams or modified for those that may be remote. But the idea is, during this, kind of back to school change of seasons time frame, like offer the team something. It doesn't have to be big, but just something that they would benefit from, and that they would be excited about. So things that come to mind for especially tired parents is maybe you offer Starbucks gift cards, or maybe even food delivery card to where like they don't need to make lunch or dinner one day. One of my personal favorites that a company I used to work with offered was once a week for in office 5-minute chair massage. So I know that kind of weirds some people out, especially, with like some of the infectious diseases happening. But, perhaps when we get to a place where it's a little bit safer, those are really cool perks that individuals actually really enjoy, but it just depends on your workforce.
Yep, yep. And in the absence of, these physical things, there are things that we can do. Physical as in like being in the place, not like in the absence of a massage or anything like that. But you can think of some creative things to do for your virtual or remote team members that would be just as beneficial. I think one thing we did that was pretty cool was our ice cream social, where we just kind of spent some time, gave folks a stipend to go get their favorite treat and just hang out for a little bit. So I think there are things you can do for your remote population. There are things you can do for your in-person population. The bigger thing is just to put those balls in motion and figure out and commit to doing them.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to share with you this next item. It's something that I've actually seen help with team building, help with community and involvement, just overall help support the community and the team members. And that is the idea of scheduling a backpack or school supply fundraiser. And this can be large, it can be small, but the idea behind it is to help fill backpacks in the beginning of the school year with school supplies that, I don't know about you, Joey, but I've seen that list grow over the years, that it went from like maybe each kid needs like, $10 worth of stuff and the school provides the rest to, now for two kids, you're probably going to spend over $100 for school supplies. If a company was able to do something like that, or even provide a stipend available, I think those are things that could really go a long way. An alternative to this that may be easier for some companies to do is actually sponsoring a classroom teacher's wish list. So, teachers bear a lot of expenses themselves. And I think helping the community, helping the schools, and also indirectly helping, your team members and their students in these schools, those type of things, they go a long way.
They do, they do. And it builds the camaraderie, it builds the retention, and it adds to proof that your employer values you as a person and values other people too, because you may be a person without school age children, and you're like, wow, I can't believe my company does this because we are supporting, other people. So
Mhm.
it's a good move. It's a good move.
It is. And if you're listening to this episode and you didn't catch us last week, I encourage you to scroll through the list and follow, listen to the episode that Joey and I did that is somewhat related. It talks about things that companies are doing to help with working parents and childcare, because there is definitely some overlap. But another point that I wanted to make on these back to school tips is just thinking about other small things companies can do, scheduling a back to school event, maybe that if you're in person is, it's perhaps a small happy hour, maybe it's a fun event that includes the kids, like the ice cream socials, or just really any other small activities if you are in person to bring everyone together. And if you're remote, there's also a wide variety of activities that you can do still from the comfort of your home to bring everybody together. But don't overlook the value of coordinating an event of that sort as well.